Good morning, good morning, good morning. We got people coming in the room greeting each other. Imagine that. People happy to see each other. So, good morning. Welcome to everybody here in the room. Welcome to everybody joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. We're going to get started right away with our first two community songs. I want to thank Marilyn Gale for stepping up. Love Eternal had a family issue that changed their ability to be here this morning. And so thank you, Marilyn Gale, for jumping in last minute to music this morning. Here we go.
All right. We'll start with Heaven. I'll show you how it goes. I'm so glad I am who I am. I'm so glad I am who I am. I'm so glad I am who I am. Thank you to heaven. Sing that with me now. I'm so glad I am who I am. I'm so glad I am who I am. I'm so glad I am who I am. Thank you to heaven. Heaven is a place on earth. Heaven is a place on earth. A place in my heaven is a place in mine. It's the place where we learn our worth. We can go there anytime. I'm so glad you are who you are. 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 Thank you to heaven. Heaven is a place on earth. Heaven is a place on earth. Heaven is a place in mine. It's the place where we learn our worth. We can go there anytime. I'm so glad we are who we are. 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 Thank you to heaven. Heaven is a place on earth. Heaven is a place on earth, a place in mine. Heaven is a place in mine. It's the place where we learn our worth. We can go there anytime. I'm so glad we are who we are. 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 Thank you to heaven. 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 Nice. Now we're going to do Treasure, and I'll show you how that one goes. So the words go, you are a treasure, open up your mind. Let yourself feel the pleasure being a part of the divine. You are a treasure, open up your mind. Let yourself feel the pleasure being a part of the divine. We are all special.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, good morning again to those that joined us while we were singing. Good morning to you that have joined us virtually. My name is Reverend Rafe Ellis, and it is my honor and privilege to be the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. And one of the pleasures that I get every Sunday morning is to remind us of who we are and what we're about, and to share that with folks that are visiting us for the first time. I invite you to just take this in. Let yourself feel this. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive community that celebrates the diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of Science of Mind. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, each other, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures. And we intentionally promote our community in our teachings. One of the ways that you immediately do is if you have yourself handy and you engage in any social media form, you can go to Sierra Center Facebook page or YouTube, Sierra Church, and share this live stream with whoever you interact with. It's just a gentle way to make it available to folks. And if they choose it, great. And if they don't, great. It's just available. And so one of the things that we do every Sunday morning to put our commitment to inclusion into practice is our inclusion candle lighting ritual. So I'm going to ask Valerie, one of our board members, to join me. There you are. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all people, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle, honoring the shamanic traditions, the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way, the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle, religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honor metaphysical path, mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. Thank you, Valerie. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Marilyn Gale for our next community song. Thank you, thank you. So this is our time of announcements, and we've got quite a few this morning. We got some new stuff starting immediately. But first, just to remind, this is mostly for the folks online because the folks here already know this because they're here. We are open. We have our communication system, our bead communication system, so that we don't have to have the same conversation over and over again. You want folks to maintain 6 feet of distance and check in and not touch you. You can wear red of beads and it communicates that. If you're figuring it out one per at a time, you can wear a strand of beads and communicates. Check in before you get too close or touch me. And if you're good with close proximity, handshakes, hugs, what have you, you can wear a green strand of beads. It communicates that. Also, if you want to create a little safety buffer around you, you're welcome to pick up the seat savers, a couple of those, put one on either side of you coming in. We have plenty of space for you to do that. Okay. Walk in with the Rev. We are back to that, which after 3 days of being a member of the 30,000 Step Club while I was moving, this is easy. It's amazing how quickly one's perspective can be changed. So we meet at the parking lot at the North Star Mine at the intersection of Freeman Lane and Allison Ranch Road. At 9 o'clock, we walk one direction until 9:30, then we turn around and walk back. And it is just a time to connect and converse. And it's amazing how you can walk the same path 4 times a week and see new things every time. It's really quite amazing. So if you're called to join, please do join. And just so you know, we go as fast as the slowest person in the group, because that's how inclusivity works. Okay, if you're looking for a fun, gentle way to learn science of mind, we have 45 crossword puzzles built using the definitions, the glossary in the Science of Mind, a Philosophy of Faith, a Way of Life, which actually functions way more like Cliff Notes than it does like a glossary. He does a tremendous amount, he being Ernest Holmes, does a tremendous amount of education in the glossary. And so you can order individual puzzles, the alphabet, you order a bank of the puzzles, which consists of 23 puzzles, or you can order, really want to challenge it. There are 20 randomized puzzles that have 20 to 21 words in them. They are available through our Square store. You can access that through our newsletter and our website. Conscious Conversations. This is a web series that Deborah and I are doing. We partnered with Columbia CSL in Columbia, Maryland. The times on the flyer are Eastern Standard Times. So I will correct that in the newsletter that's coming out. Fingers crossed, it's coming out later today. The first one I will be facilitating is a workshop, Who's Creating Your Experience? Because sometimes we think we're creating our experience when really old patterns, old thoughts that we never even examined that came from generations back is actually creating our experience. And it may not be the experience that we want, and we are empowered to choose something different. So we're going to explore that. That happens Wednesday night, this coming Wednesday night, Pacific time, that is 4 to 5:30. The following Wednesday, Deborah will be facilitating a workshop on creating community impact. And the reality of it is we all impact each other all the time. And when we choose to do that consciously, it really makes a difference. And so she will be covering how we make community connections. She'll be covering the art of apology, because anytime we interact in community, we step in it once in a while. And so what do we do to that happen? And there's art to an actual apology. I will share with you that whenever you feel that way, it's not an actual apology. and you'll know more about that. And and we will do a section on the art of appreciation. Again, that is 4 to 5:30. The links to that will all be in the newsletter and on our website. No, no, because we're partnering with Columbia Center for Spiritual Living in Columbia, Maryland. So no, this is all purely virtual. And then the following Wednesday, there is a panel discussion that will be about having these conscious conversations and experiencing some different things. That will be myself, Dr. Tracy Brown, Deborah, and a woman named Gina Duncan that I've yet to meet, but I hear she's amazing. So I encourage you to take advantage of those. Okay, August 7th, because we are in a time of protracted and delayed grief universally. COVID and the restrictions of COVID have really created some profound challenges for us just with our normal process of grief, which is never normal, but having to delay it has created some interesting dynamics, and things are coming out sideways for people. And so we're going to, August 7th, our Sunday service is going to be expanded. And so we will be here from 10 a.m. to noon, and the structure will be a little bit different. And we're going to make peace with grief, and we're going to open it up to celebrate life and the change life and people that you have lost pets you have lost, jobs that you may have lost, your sense of normal that we've all lost. It's completely gone. And so we're engaged in that. We're going to have space for people to share. We're going to create some rituals that will help us move through and really begin the healing process in earnest. So I invite you to mark your calendars, plan on being here. We will have a potluck following that, so please plan to bring something to share with folks, and we'll engage in a time of community and interaction, because that's really helpful for grief. We've got two new groups starting up. Let me go the other way. We've got two new groups starting up. Starting tomorrow night. I'm shifting my personal Sabbath day from Monday to Friday because alliteration demands it. So we're starting a Manifestation Monday Mastery Group. And that will mean every Monday evening from 5:30 to 6:30. We are asking for a $10 donation to attend that, and rest assured no one will be turned away for lack of funds. You will learn how to generate those funds just coming to this. We really are going to explore how in the world do you move it from it's just a nice idea to actually manifesting the life that you want, the stuff that you want, the relationships that you want. We're going to dive in and figure out how to do that together. Thursday, same time, 5:30 to 6:30. Spiritual principles really easy when everything is cotton candy and unicorns. We're going to start a community discussion group about this practical application. How do I apply spiritual principles to this? Because it's in those challenging times that when we can't find the spiritual pull that fits, that really need each other. And so again, we're asking for a $10 donation. It's an ongoing group. It's a drop-in group. Come when you can. Come when you feel like it. Come when you're called. Just come. Start learning how to actually put these principles into practice. Sitting Shiva. This is a gift from one of our beloved members, Judy Silverman. Her mother passed away, and Judy will be sitting Shiva on Tuesday, July 12th, from 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. And she's inviting folks. It doesn't matter whether you knew her mother or not, because sitting Shiva is for the living. And laughter is more than welcome. Tears are more than welcome. Whatever you choose, just if you're interested in that, reach out to Judy and I will give you her contact information again in the newsletter. She just wanted to make everybody aware that that is happening. It's a beautiful Jewish tradition where you just spend time honoring the departed and the living. First Friday, I don't have a slide because I ran out of time. The August 1st Friday, we're going to watch the movie Come Sunday. If you're not familiar with the movie Come Sunday, it is a movie about the transformation of Bishop Carlton Pierce from his awakening of what he grew up with and what he ministered to as a Pentecostal minister to new thought. And at a point in the movie, he really has the awakening and said to his congregation, which you might imagine does not go over well, the God that we are worshiping is a monster. and I have met and had conversations with Bishop Carlton. He is an amazing individual, and the bravery that is demonstrated in this movie of really heeding that call of the divine, even when everybody on the outside is pushing you to get back in line with what you've always been, is amazing. It is really an amazing movie. So mark your calendars, the first Friday in August from 6 to 8. We'll watch the movie. And then if you choose to stick around and have a conversation about it, that would be wonderful. Okay. Let's take a breath. We're going to shift into our time of inward. And I am your practitioner this morning. And our community value this morning is community. And it's quite perfect to be talking about community as we focus this month on relationships, which we'll talk later about just dropping the S from that and understand that we're really only dealing with one relationship, and that covers all of them. Spiritual community can be very messy. Very messy. I've been watching a Netflix series called Greenleaf. If you haven't watched it, oh my goodness. And it really is a whole series about the messiness of spiritual community and how easy it is to get lost in personalities of principle. It's kind of like a church soap opera in many respects. There's a lot in it that I, like, as a minister, I'm watching this thing going, ooh, I've seen that. Ooh, I've seen that. And that's not going to go well. And it has really brought me back to, how do we show up in community? And it fits in perfectly with today's talk. Perfectly. And you'll see more about that in a minute. But I want to leave you with this to take into meditation. It's from The Science of Mind, A Philosophy of Faith, A Way of Life, page 557 to 558. One of Ernest Holmes' meditations, My Vibration Attracts Friends to Me. So just take this in as we go into meditation. I am never alone, never lonely. For I have as companions and friends those people who are drawn to me by the ever-active and immutable law of attraction. It is not enough that I profess to love people. I must really love people more dearly than I have ever loved before, because all people are my family. I do not outline who shall be my friends and companions, for there is no desire to coerce, compel, or suggest anyone. I trust implicitly the law of attraction to bring into my environment and atmosphere friends and loved ones and establish for me a community of interest and helpfulness. As I love and cooperate with fellow humans, so do love and gain their cooperate. The law is motivated to work for me by my love for people. Oh, thank you, Juanita. So I'm going to ring the bell 3 times, and we will do 3 collective ohms into our meditation. one, one infinite, unformed substance of pure potential. One mind, one life, one love, one peace, one power, one presence, creating out of itself to expand its experience of itself, creating from the imagination of itself, manifesting in form, all one, never separate from itself. And so being in form, I know that I must be created out of it, by it, to be it. That my presence, my very creation, is a desire in the heart of the infinite to expand itself as this thing I call me. And in the truth of oneness, the truth of wholeness, what is true of me must be true of every form of creation. And being created out of it, surrounded by it, infused with it. When I speak my word, it is literally the word of the infinite. Speak in, through, and as physical being. And so speak my word. Moving into manifestation. The ultimate, the awareness, the awakening within each and every form of creation, within humanity as a whole, to its magnificence as a spiritual incarnation of this one infinite allness, to an awareness that there is no thing missing and everything present, simply awaiting the command of our belief, the command of our thought, to be moved into action, to be manifested. And so I know that this time together is a time of manifesting a new experience. That this gathering, whoever is joining us online, here in person, this collective is a one-of-a-kind, never to be repeated experience. And so we simply open to hear what we came to hear, to imagine what we came to imagine, to become what we came to become in this moment of the eternal now. Grateful to know that just as quickly as the word is spoken, it is fulfilled. And the only waiting period appears in this construct of time that we've created to structure humanity. And so I rest in the celebration of the immediate manifestation, and no longer wait for or look for evidence. No, it is fully sent. I release. Knowing it's done, I release. I let go with deep gratitude for every heart, every mind, every hand that has been a part of bringing this moment to fruition. And I invite you to join me as we say together, and so it is. So this is our time of affirmation. I invite you to just listen as I read it through once, and then we will say it together. I celebrate the we, which is intimately one with itself. Let's say that together. I celebrate the we, which is intimately one with itself. And so it is.
This song was composed from my experiences being a part of this very community. We laugh, we smile, we stay for a while as a community. We have joy and are free. We learn and we grow. Wait, no, that's not right. Hang on one second. I'm sorry. We have joy and are free. Oh yes. We listen and we share. We love and we care. We honor this world and our good is unfurled. Together we stand in community. Hand in hand we are we. We pray and we grow. We learn and we know. All the best will show as we live in the flow. Together we stand in community. Hand in hand we are we. Together we stand in community. Hand in hand we are we.
Let's take a breath together. So our talk title this morning is Me and You Are We. You and I are we. Ernest Holmes, toward the end of his life, talked about his greatest fear is that we would slip into teaching science of mind as duality. And language gets in the way. It always does. Because Ernest Holmes constantly said throughout his writings that we're not individuals, that we're not separate, and yet language demanded that while he talked about how we each use it, he used the word individual. So if you're reading Ernest Holmes, you're like, well, wait, dude, which is it? Either we're individuals or we're not. Well, what we are is spontaneous, individualized expressions of one thing. Spontaneous, individualized expressions of one thing. And I've used it before, and I'll use it again, because it is the best example that I can come up. This thing happens to the physical body here. Tiny little ball of identical cells, spontaneously Medical science, all of its advancements still can't explain it, which just I love, right? But it's like this little huddle of cells all of a sudden goes break, and everything differentiates. And perfectly identical cells suddenly know how to become a liver and an arm and a finger and a fingernail and which color of eyes. That fascinates me to the core. May I never get bored with that analogy. Right? The same thing happens in life. There's one field of energy. Energy, scientifically, is the potential to create. That's what it's defined as. So there's this field of pure potential. And at the thought, at the desire of creation, something new is spontaneously created. If you have somebody online that you can look to, if not, put it in the chat. Here in the room, look at your neighbor. You are a spontaneous creation. Tell each other that. You are a spontaneous creation. Yeah, because that's what's true. See, somewhere in the heart of creation itself, it had a moment, a desire in its heart to experience its life uniquely as you. And it brought into being. Now that's pretty special in my book. When I let myself really feel the truth that I am an intentional, on purpose, one of a kind, never to be repeated desire in the heart of creation to experience its life as me. What else do I need? See, all of these earthly conditions really don't matter a whole lot at that point. The dividing line comes when I think I'm separate. The dividing line comes when I think that Rafe is something different than the divine. When I forget that I am it in form. Our teaching lends itself to be misinterpreted because we're responsible for our individualized experience. And sometimes we interpret that as we're only responsible for my experience, as if there's a separate my than you. Ernest Holmes constantly, there's no such thing as your mind and my mind, there's one mind. There's no such thing as you and me, there's one. And when we live in a world where we're surrounded by the effect, by the condition of separation, it's really kind of challenging to keep that in the forefront of our understanding. Especially, it may be different, but when people do stupid things, or things more accurately I assess as right? As I assure you have done things I thought were brilliant. Someone else assessed as stupid. And perhaps I do the same misassessment of other people. Perhaps sometimes I allow my human opinions to get in the way and I deem someone else's choice stupid. And then I go further and I deem them to be wholly, completely, irreprehensibly stupid for having made it. Maybe it's just me, but I doubt it because I've talked to some of you. We've had conversations. The story of the Good Samaritan is a good place to start. And most people just stop the story at somebody stopping to help another person. But what we oftentimes fail to recognize is the thing about the story of the Good Samaritan is that it was quite risky and illegal for the Samaritan to stop and help the person that he stopped. Because it was so divisive culturally that he could actually be punished for helping that human being. Different tribe, different belief system. See, this is the problem with divisiveness. This is the problem with separation, is that we begin to establish rules and belief systems that anchor our experience of separation and move us further and further away from the truth of our being, which is oneness. It moves further and further away from an experience of wholeness. If we're to understand our teaching and really live it, we have to get past people's behavior. We have to see beyond divisiveness and exhibit the courage to stand in oneness. To know that even the people that hurt us the most are not separate from us. That they are a part of our body. And I have some experience with this. You know, as a child that experienced abuse in every form imaginable. It isn't easy to forgive. It isn't easy to move beyond the choices of behavior of other human beings and stand in the truth of oneness. But that's what's required. Because we either believe in oneness or we don't. Right? It's not a convenient thing. Sometimes I find us treating it that way. Oh, sure, I believe in oneness as long as you're in my political party. I'm one with everyone in my political party. I'm one with everybody who recycles in the same way I do. I am one with everyone who eats the same diet I eat. And when we're not there, we vilify each other. We jump on, too many of us jump on it. Too many of us live on the victim hero triangle. We live on it. We make it a way of life. This is the part that's likely to really piss you off. If you're living on that angle, you are living a life of victimhood because no one looks for a villain until they have decided they're a victim. Nobody needs a villain until they're a victim. Nobody needs a hero until they have consented to some level of complete abject powerlessness that says they no longer have the ability to care for themselves, that their power of choice has been deemed worthless, and they need someone outside of them to save them. Ain't a word of truth in it. Not a word. This idea that anybody is separate from us is the only lie that needs to be healed. The only one. Now, it comes in a lot of different packages. It wears a lot of costumes. It uses a lot of different words. But the lie is always the same. That you're separate. That you're separate. Now, I won't deny that sometimes I need a God outside of me. Sometimes I do. There's a movie from a while back called The Shack. Incredibly intense, incredibly powerful movie. And God shows up for this young man in a lot of different forms. It's a journey, Father, to understand what happened to his daughter, who was abducted and molested and murdered. When he gets back to Shack, it's all about come clear. This God who has shown up as a woman the whole movie shows up as a man. And he's like, wait a minute. I thought you were this. Why are you showing up as a man all of a sudden? And the response was, because today you need a father. Today you're going to need a father. And so perhaps a God, a spirit that is all things all the time can show up as whatever we choose it to show up as, whatever we need it to show up as in the moment. And yet we don't have to make it separate. We don't have to make it separate. We're really good at the headiness, the headiness of science of mind. And I think where our growth is as an organization, as a philosophy, is delving more deeply into the I-thou relationship, that personalized relationship. Now, yes, in the truth of oneness, it's absolutely the exercise of talking to yourself, right? It is. And I could ask how many people in this room talk to themselves, and somebody will say, I don't talk to myself. Really? Who'd you just talk to? We all talk to ourselves. Every one of us. And perhaps if we begin to understand that in dialogue is with our trust self. That there's one self, the infinite, and that we are yet informed, and so is everybody else. And so perhaps every conversation you have is a conversation with yourself. Think about that. When you're in that, I am not them, who's them? Who is, in oneness, can we have a them? I don't think so. That requires separation. And so perhaps if we lean into oneness in a different way, if we lean into wholeness in a different way, then the behaviors become less of a focus. By no means do we ignore them. Ernest Holmes said in many different ways, we do not ignore condition. What we do is understand our power to change our experience of it. I don't control the weather. When I was back east, when my son passed away, there was a hurricane. And I was in service at CSL Asheville. And Dr. Barbara Waterhouse was sharing that she was getting a plethora of emails requesting that she pray that the hurricane stop. And she's like, no, it's not my job. What I will pray for is that everyone experiencing the hurricane accesses the infinite intelligence within them to know how to exactly do that. I'll for that. I won't pray to control weather. That's not my job. That's science's job. That's the activity of law. Right? So if we begin to understand what's ours, what's not ours, I have never prayed to change another being's mind since understanding this philosophy. That's not my job. The infinite gave us free will. Who am I? How much arrogance would it take for me as an individualized expression, for me relating from my humanness, to assume the authority to change your mind? Oh, good Lord. No. Creation, that is the one right. That is the one birthright. They can legislate it, but they can't take it. The greatest example of that, Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, if you don't know who he was a man who grew up in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany. And if you want a really amazing book to read, Man's Search for Meaning. And there was a point where they had taken everything from Viktor Frankl, except his wedding band. They had taken his clothes. They had taken his humanity. They had taken his food. And they demanded his wedding ring. And he explains in the book that his process was to go within and choose to give it to them, so that it was choice. We may not like the actions, but be really clear, beloveds. There is no place where you stop using. None. That can't exist in creation, because every thought you have, every breath you breathe is a choice to create something. Pay attention. Create intentionally. I want to wrap up with this, and a lot of you know I'm a Bible guy. I don't relate to the Bible the way I was raised to relate to it, but it's an amazing library of books. It has some amazing wisdom in it, not the least of which, little humor aside, the phrase, don't get caught with your ass hanging out. Straight out of the Old Testament. Straight out of the Old Testament. There is a place in the Old Testament where the punishment for crimes of misdemeanor were to split an individual's trousers and send them out in public. Straight out of the Bible. Don't get caught with your ass hanging out. Just saying, I didn't write it, but I love that it's there. So it says this, Matthew book 25, verses 35 through 40. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you visited me. Then there was ask him, and this is Jesus that's talking. Lord, when did we see you hungry, feed you, or thirsty, and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And the reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did to one of the least of these brothers of mine, relatives of mine, you did for me. We are one. We are one. Whatever you do, here, everywhere else, we do for the whole. Dare to live in wholeness and oneness. I dare you. Let's take this into prayer. as I recognize, as I recognize, as I know again in this physical realm the truth of oneness, I allow the human me to feel that, to experience that I-thou communion. I allow myself to experience the wholeness of the truth of being, the oneness. That there is no separation. That in truth there is me, no you, no us, no them. There is simply one. And I am that form. And what is true of me must true of all creation. And so everywhere I look, I see the infinite. Everywhere I listen, I hear the infinite. Every breath is a breath of the divine. One, always one. And so I lift up each expression of humanity this morning, affirming, speaking into realization, being made real in each individualized expression of the one, and awakening to the magnificence of the one divine self, and an awakening to the wholeness, to the preciousness, to the awe and wonder of oneness. I affirm, I claim, I demand an experience of that within each heart and mind, knowing that as we move beyond behavior, as we hold sacred every creation, we bring humanity, we bring the physical into alignment with the truth of its being. Each expression exercising the birthright of voice to choose the sacred, to choose to see the sacred and profane as one in the same, to no longer be fooled spirits, to hold fully the conundrum of humanity and spirituality and oneness. So grateful to feel that personal and know that it operates quite mechanically. That's the power of choice. And so I celebrate and I let that be. And I once again celebrate the power to choose over and over and over. And I invite you to join me as we say together, and so it is. Let's take a breath. As we shift into our time of conscious giving. And we are, as a spiritual community, as a business, we are sustained by your consciousness, by your gifts, by your giving freely of your time, talents, and treasures. And this is the time to give of your treasures. So I invite you to give as you have been given to. If you're online, our site is right there on your screen. I invite you to go there and give. I want to thank all the donors who give through AutoTithe. Yeah, it's a great system, and it's some level of predictability. Thank you for your consciousness and your commitment to even set that up. If you would like to do that, give us a call, shoot us an email, and Juanita will get back with you and assist you in that process. Let's say our giving affirmation together. I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Please receive the gifts. Marilyn. So I speak a word of gratitude, a word of blessing for the infinite as me, knowing that Sierra Center for Spiritual Living is sustained to prosper and grown, knowing that we give Sierra Center to private nonprofit partners to do good work in the world, and so it is. I just noticed the time when I sat down and I thought, you should not watch series about Pentecostalness, because then you forget to look at the clock. Notice there's no apology. It's just how it goes. Thank you, Juanita, for being our wizard behind the curtain. Thank you, Mary Lou, for stepping up to do our PowerPoint. Thank you, Valerie, for being our greeter. Thank you, Kate, for our flowers. Thank you, Marilyn Gale, for being our last-minute pinch hitter. Sure, I'll come sing person. And thank each of you. Real quickly, because they're new, starting tomorrow night, 5:30 to 6:30, Manifestation Monday Mastery Group, and on Thursday, How Do I Apply Spiritual Principle to This? Group starts at 5:30 to 6:30 every Thursday. Hope to see you there. Let's stand and do our benediction, unless you're listening to this while you're driving, and then please don't stand up. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It is this thing called oneness. It is this thing called wholeness. It is this called love. I know it. I feel it. I sense it. Because I am it. And so it is. All yours, Miss Mary.